Well, hello, I'm Beth. Thank you for joining Read Remark. Today we are going to do a December Booktube wrap-up. Hi guys, thank you so much for joining today. We are going to do a December Booktube wrap-up. So let's dig right in. Number 1 is Made for Love by Alyssa Nutting. This book is so wacky. It follows Hazel, who is kind of an off-center person who, well, let's just show you a typical Tuesday night for her. She gets plastered drunk, crawls across her neighbor's lawn, and starts barking at their lawn flamingos. I mean, no big deal, right? She has left her big technology titan husband. She goes to stay with her father who is taken up with a sex doll named Diane. And much wackiness ensues for the rest of the book. It's really good. Actually, the story kind of comes together. All the characters are really crazy. It kind of reminds me of a Christopher... Blood-Sucking Fiends. Who is the author? Moore. Christopher Moore. It kind of reminds me of a Christopher Moore book in that all the characters are crazy, or Tom Robbins. And that's just the acceptable world that they live in. It's good. Number 2 is a short story, The Cold Equations by Tom Godwin. I mentioned in last month's wrap-up that I might kind of take it easy on myself in December reading-wise because December is just such a busy month. So I took it easy on myself and read The Cold Equations. This was a book that this was a short story I originally read in middle school in which a girl stows away on a spaceship. It's another one of those 1950s or 60s sci-fi books. And the spaceship only allows up to so much weight, and so the weight of this extra girl is going to kill everyone, and so they have to come to a decision on what to do about that. It's a very short story. It's in public domain. You can read it for free. I've linked to it in the notes, and I highly recommend that you do because it will make you so sad. Next up is This is a Story of a Happy Marriage by Ann Patchett. Ann Patchett is a famed author, but before that she spent many years being an essayist for several different magazines. So this is a collection of some of those best essays. We get to see different parts of her life. The joys of dog ownership, the perils of a bad marriage, the joys of a good marriage, the heart-clenching difficulty of writing that she experiences. The fact that everyone she meets thinks that they have a good book in them just waiting to get out. Speaking of which, I should really email her. I have a great book just waiting to get out. Just kidding. I especially liked the essay that she did about her trying to qualify for the LAPD, especially for the physical portion of the test. It's just, it's almost like watching the training scenes from the movie Rocky. I get so into it and I'm like, run Rocky, get to the top of those steps. And so I think the same thing with Ann Patchett is she's hanging there from the bar during the test. Keep hanging on, Ann, you can do it. The next one I read was Hex by Thomas Olde Hoyvelt. Okay, so I'm really into horror. I'm into those deep, dark, kind of twisted stories. This one may have taken it a little too far, which is really surprising for me because I didn't realize that I had a limit, but I guess maybe I do. But still, I enjoyed it so much. Let me back up and give you the basic premise of the book. They live in a town, this family lives in a town called Black Spring. It's beautiful, the houses are beautiful, property is pretty affordable. The only thing is that there is a witch who appears throughout various parts of town, and she has her eyes sewn shut and her mouth sewn shut because to have her eyes cast upon you means certain death. To hear even a whispered utterance from her mouth means certain death. And so it's almost cartoonish the way that they deal with it. They turn her into kind of a tourist spectacle without really saying that she's a witch. So they hide her in plain sight. They just try and make her part of the scenery as much as possible because were this secret about the witch to get out, it would mean certain death for a lot of people. And so Thinking about Chekhov's gun, you can't set up this loaded gun of a witch and then not have bad things happen later. I'm not going to spoil it, but let me just say, things happen. All right, the next book on my list is The Woman Next Door by Yewande Omotosho. This is a book set in Africa, and it has two neighbors who hate each other. They have a couple of things in common. They're both old. I believe they're octogenarians. They are both widowed. One has been widowed for a while. One is becoming widowed in the course of the book. But the sameness ends there, and then the differences take over. One is white, one is black. One had a bunch of children, one wanted a bunch of children. One had a husband who cheated on her for many years. Within each other, they kind of see their own shortfallings in life, and they're both pretty bitter about it, especially Hortensia. Hortensia is bitter. Marion is shrill, and I hate using those two words to describe women because, gosh darn it, those are bandied about far too often. But they have these differences, and then something happens in which they must band together and through the power of friendship find a way forward. Okay, I'm saying that a lot more kumbaya-ish than it actually was. It's almost more of a begrudging friendship. Two Grumpy Old Men, or Oscar and Felix. A woman version. Today Will Be Different by Maria Semple. I think I have kind of an unfair bias against this one because I first read Maria Semple's Where'd You Go, Bernadette, and loved it so very much. And Today Will Be Different is almost like a single white female version of Where'd You Go, Bernadette. It's so strikingly similar in so many ways. It's almost a doppelganger. So both of them feature a 50-year-old woman who is still kind of at her prime, but completely wacky and somewhat absent-minded. The women in both books are not afraid to fling their emotions at whoever happens to be nearby and not really worry about the fallout from that. They both feature precocious but lovable single children. Both of the women in both of the stories are married to brilliant and rich men who are able to bankroll their wackiness. They're both just so breathtakingly similar that it almost cheapens Today Will Be Different, which I think does a real disservice to it because it's still a good book by a good author, one who I definitely plan on reading more of. It's just her next book needs to actually be different. I'll still read it. The next book I read was Sing Unburied Sing by Jesmyn Ward. Brilliant book. I did a video on this book and how much I loved it. I think it was supposed to be a book review, but really I just evolved into talking about the book and how much I loved it and the mysticism. Even though it's not really a book about mysticism, it's grounded in reality, but there are these mystical elements to it that are just fascinating, and I am realizing as I'm saying it that whatever words I say are not going to do it justice, so don't take my word for it because my words will not do the book justice. Just read it. It's really good. It's really good. It's made a lot of best of lists. That's no coincidence. It's no accident. It's well deserved. The final book is Everything You Want Me to Be by Mindy Mejia. It opens up with a teen girl named Hattie who has been brutally murdered. Badly. And so we go through the events that have led up to then. We see this ill-fated relationship she has with an inappropriate person. We see her passion for acting. We kind of see this personality, this face that she puts on as part of her acting. She is trying to be everything everyone wants her to be, and I don't think that she has fully discovered who Hattie is just yet. She's messy, she's brilliant, she's lovable, she's illicit, she's a little bit scheming, but always she's just a teen girl who's been murdered, who's well deserving of love, and we just find out through all of the supporting characters around her how she met her death. It's very sad. And also very good. Thank you so much for tuning in to my December Booktube wrap-up. Also, if you haven't caught my 12 Days of Litmus, be sure and go back and watch those. That was the challenge put forth by Stripped Cover Lit, in which he gave us 12 short challenges in which we named favorite poets, authors, novels, just different things. It's a lot of fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure and like, subscribe. Actually, I think this might be my last video of 2017. So, thank you. Thank you. This has been my first year in booktubing and it's been so much fun. I appreciate sincerely every one of my subscribers, every one of the comments. Thank you. Now I'm groveling, so I'm going to shut up and just say peace out until 2018. See you next year. Bye.